Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing The Legend of Ruby Sunday, which is the 7th episode in Series 14, or Season 1, whatever you want to call it, Shoutekh's first season of Doctor Who. And I have to start off with this video with my favorite part of the episode, because I love this. It just made my day. They got Gabriel Woolf. They got Gabriel Woolf. I knew as soon as I heard the voice that first time, I was like, did they get Gabriel Woolf? If you could see my actual reaction, because I do have my full reaction to this video with picture-in-picture up on my Patreon for my at the $5 tier level and above. I got super excited. I'm like, is that Gabriel Woolf? Please tell me that's Gabriel. If that is Gabriel Woolf, oh. And I checked the credits at the end just to make sure, but sure enough, voice of Sutekh, Gabriel Woolf. Oh, snap. Voice of Sutekh, Gabriel Woolf. Gabriel Woolf. They did it. They got Gabriel Woolf. They got Gabriel. I mean, I think he's in his 90s now. They got Gabriel Woolf. God, I love that. I recognized it because while it's not the voice he used for Sutekh in the past, it was the voice he used for Sutekh, the Beast in the past. Oh, they got Gabriel. I love that they got Gabriel. No notes to that. That is an S tier decision, A+. That made my day. I am so excited they got Gabriel Woolf. Gabriel Woolf, of course, voiced Sutekh in Pyramids of Mars, which is where the character made his first appearance. I love the Pyramids of Mars. It is my second favorite Doctor Who story of all time, and it's almost tied with first place, to be honest. I recently ranked all of classic Doctor Who, and Pyramids of Mars was number 2 on the list. And it number 1, which is City of Death, they're practically a tie. I love Pyramids of Mars. It has who is my favorite Doctor, who I think is objectively the best Doctor, with Tom Baker. It has one of the best villains the show has ever had with Sutekh, in my opinion. It's written, basically page 1 rewritten by Bob Holmes, even though it's a different name because someone else wrote it, and Bob Holmes, who's the script editor at the time, basically did a page 1 rewrite on it. And Bob Holmes is the greatest writer this show has ever had. It was directed by Patty Russell, who is one of the best directors Doctor Who has ever had. She directed 4 classic Doctor Who stories. They're all bangers, all bangers. The Massacre I know by reputation. The other 3 I've seen, and they're all phenomenal. Invasion of the Dinosaurs, Pyramids of Mars, Horror, Fang Rock. It is such a good story. I love this story. This was actually sent to me by one of my patrons, Colin. So the fact they got Gabriel Woolf back, and he is 91 years old, so he's in his 90s now. They got him back to voice Sutekh. Makes my day. If you're someone who only watches more Modern Who, if you're a younger fan and Modern Who's more your thing, you might also recognize his voice, because Gabriel Woolf was also the voice of the Beast in the Series 2 10th Doctor story, The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. Yes, that scene when he's like, "Don't turn around. I'm right behind you. I can almost reach out." Gabriel Woolf. Gabriel Woolf has voiced basically 2 different versions of the Devil in Doctor Who, which I suspect is why they got Gabriel Woolf to voice a Beast, since the Beast is kind of a possibility of where we get our version of the Devil from, and so was Sutekh. That was a little thing that wasn't lost on the creators of the show. So I know I'm harping on this a lot, but the fact they got Gabriel Woolf, I have a huge love for Gabriel Woolf in Doctor Who. If you've seen my review, my latest review on The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit, I gush about how much I love he's there. And if you've seen my latest review for Pyramids of Mars, I gush over Gabriel Woolf. I love him in this. Even though him and Philip Hinchcliffe did accidentally burn Fury from the Deep. There's a little funny comedic thing as a bonus on this DVD called Oh Mummy, and it's absolutely hilarious. Blame Sutekh for Fury from the Deep being gone. Okay, I'm going to move on from talking about Gabriel Woolf, because there are other things in the episode to talk about, but that's my favorite part. I love the fact they got Gabriel Woolf to voice Sutekh again. I love Shoutekh's performance in this. He is so good. I mean, his performances have always been good. He is a great actor. But he has to run such a gauntlet of emotions in this story, and I love the performance he's putting in. I love all the performance, really. Millie Gibson is putting in a good performance as Ruby. I love, like, when she discovers the tape and that they might can see what's on the tape. She gets all excited and giddy, and that just seems so natural. She pulls that off so well. It's great seeing Kate back. Kate is really good in this episode. Kate's kind of hit or miss depending on the story, but she's really good in this episode. Gemma is great as her. Really loving that. I mean, the whole cast are doing a good job. I would like to have perhaps seen more of Rose. She's not really in the story a lot. I love the scene when the Doctor walks into their time window. I love some of the comedy in this, like when he first asked Kate about the time window, and she's like, well, you know, back in the 70s you said we're forbidden, and he just looks at her like, do you have a time window? She's like, 10 floors down. That's funny. I like that it adds a little bit of comedy there. And then when he first walks into it, because it looks, you know, to us, we're like, it's like it's all impressive and everything, and he just starts laughing about it, and he's like, this is it? Oh, this is rough. Like, you just lashed it together. I don't know why. I just love the fact that to him, it's all primitive. That's a very Third Doctor thing to me. I don't know why, really, but that made me think of Jon Pertwee, like the Third Doctor just being stuck in unit trying to rebuild the TARDIS with late 20th century technology and how frustrated he was about it. It really was a nice Pertwee callback for me personally, and I loved that. I completely felt like, yeah, this is the same man who was exiled on Earth a few decades ago. And I love the fact I made that connection between Gatwa's daughter. I can't talk. I'm so excited. That I made that connection between Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor and Jon Pertwee's Doctor. I really liked that. The special effects when they're in the time window look so good. Like, it actually feels like they're standing in a projection of old footage. It's hard to believe that's 2004 footage, but it is just a little CCTV camera. You know, it looks more like footage that was taken off a camera from like the 70s, but that's cool how they do it, how it looks like they're standing in a VHS recording. That's really neat. You can tell that I think a lot of the Disney money went to this season finale, I'm betting. And it shows. It looks great. The scene at the end when the room, not at the end, but when the computer breaks there at the end and it like hits the glass, that camera work right there is really good. That was an odd way for the TARDIS to land at the beginning, but okay, fine, why not? And then the guy who's like Doctor on deck or Doctor on the bridge or whatever he says, I remember my initial reaction was, duh, we know. I don't know why he said that. It's great seeing Mel back. It's always nice to have Bonnie Langford back. Is it odd that I like Mel more in Modern Who than I do in Classic Who? Is that sacrilegious to say? But I do like her more here. I love her reaction when the Sutekh cloud first shows up and she's just like, that would have been my reaction. That would have been Prowl's reaction. So that's perfect. No notes on that reaction. It's interesting that we still have several things up in the air. Like, we still don't know who Ruby's mother is. I'm still curious about that. I wonder if it's Mrs. Flood, because we still don't know what's up with Mrs. Flood either. That's another mystery box we still have. So I want to know what's going on with Ruby's mother. I want to know what's up with Mrs. Flood, whether she's another harbinger for Sutekh, or if she's actually Susan. Maybe she's Susan. That was interesting misdirection with Susan. I kind of wondered if they would actually go there. I always figured if we got Susan, it would be Carol, because I feel like Carol deserves it. So I would much prefer, if they're going to actually bring Susan back, to bring Carol Ann Ford in. I would love to see that, just because I think classic fans would love to see that, even if we're not the target audience anymore. But I will still wonder if Mrs. Flood is like maybe that, or if she's just another harbinger, because we never got a reveal that she's actually evil, just that she knows it's coming. So I'm curious what's up with Mrs. Flood. So much is going on in this episode, it's hard to organize my thoughts. I didn't like the scene when the Doctor was like punching the elevator and, upset he got the guard killed. I don't know, it just felt like a little padding. I kind of wanted the episode to move along. There's a few times where it kind of holds scenes a little longer than it needs to, like when Ruby's mother disappears and he's just hugging her. There's a bit there where it goes on just a few seconds too long for me. There's a little bit of that. Now, the first time the reveal of Sutekh at the end on the initial watch, because I've watched it twice now, on initial watch, I thought that went on a little too long, but on second viewing, I thought it was perfect. So I usually I won't rewatch an episode a second time right away, but I had to with this one because there's so much going on. I had to try to organize my thoughts and remember. I really should have just been taking notes. There's a lot going on in this episode. I can't get my thoughts organized. It's so hard. I enjoyed this one. It had me fired up. It had me. The second watch through, especially since I turned on my closed caption. The first time I was watching on the computer so I could do my reaction video. The second time I was watching on the TV and I turned on the closed captioning and hearing some of what the Harbingers are saying. Like I clicked it was Sutekh as soon as I heard Gabriel Woolf's voice. I knew, even though he sounds more like the Beast from 2006 than he does actually like Sutekh. Because Sutekh talked in this whisper. So one of the reasons I've always loved Sutekh is that he doesn't talk in that loud, booming voice like, say, Omega does in The Three Doctors, which is perfect for Omega. But instead of going with that loud, booming voice, Sutekh talks in that quiet whisper, which is kind of even more intimidating and scary. And it's one of the reasons I love Sutekh so much in Pyramids of Mars, just that quiet whisper. Wherever I tread, I leave dust and destruction, or whatever it is he says. And realizing just how powerful Sutekh is as a villain. This is explained really well in Pyramids of Mars when the Doctor tells Sarah, you know, it took the combined might of Horus and all of the other Osirans just to imprison Sutekh. Not kill him, to imprison him. And the only reason the Doctor even won in that story is because he outsmarted Sutekh. Because Sutekh's so much more powerful than he is. And even the Time Lords, that's touched on in this, when, you know, he's trying to explain to Sarah how dangerous Sutekh is and how he could just destroy the universe, and how, you know, Sarah's like, even, you know, more powerful even than your lot. And he looks at her, yeah, even my lot. Basically, the Time Lords are like ants compared to this guy. And Tom Baker, of course, being amazing, conveys that very well in this story. And so I find that really interesting that he gets across just how dangerous this is. And the interesting thing is that this episode really foreshadows Sutekh being the main villain. Not this episode, the season did. Back during The Devil's Cord, when we had that scene when the Doctor took Ruby to the alternate 2024 and it was just desolate, destroyed, and dead. Which was very much a scene homaging Pyramids of Mars, because there's a scene like that in Pyramids of Mars when the Doctor takes Sarah to the alternate 1980 and it's desolate and dead like that. And it even mirrors how the Doctor doesn't even turn around and look. He stays by the console while the companion looks, while Sarah looks, while Ruby looks, and he's still looking away because he already knows what it'll look like. So that was actually some interesting, looking back on it, interesting foreshadowing. And I think what got a lot of the fans thinking maybe Sutekh, maybe Sutekh, maybe Sutekh, because hey, we were right on that one. I'd stated before I really didn't want Sutekh to come back just because I thought Pyramids of Mars is basically a perfect story, and that I was worried that Sutekh coming back would undermine the Fourth Doctor's victory over him. But the way they do it here, I really don't think it does. That, and they got Gabriel Woolf back, and I live for that. It doesn't, because it seems like his body was destroyed, like the Fourth Doctor did defeat him, but somehow his essence survived, much like Omega in The Three Doctors, where his physical form was destroyed, but his will was so powerful that his will kept him alive as an entity. And that kind of seems like what happened here, and he slowly had to rebuild himself. I don't know if I buy Sutekh seducing the TARDIS. That's really weird. I don't get that. The TARDIS is pretty intelligent. I don't see how the TARDIS would be fooled by Sutekh. I don't know if I quite buy that, but we'll see what part 2 reveals on that. And that Sutekh has just slowly been rebuilding himself through In the Void, because it seemed like he was trapped in the time tunnel where all the TARDISes and stuff travel. So that I buy that. I'm buying the explanation, and really liking that. Yeah, I enjoyed this. I like a lot of the homages. There's actually a lot of Easter egg nods to Pyramids of Mars in this. The kind of the look of the Harbingers kind of remind me a little bit of the look of Professor Scarman from Pyramids of Mars with the white face and the kind of red around here. It's done more graphically in this one, of course, with better makeup, but it's still impressive. I suspected Sutekh, especially when I saw the soldier who'd basically been turned into dust. I knew, I strongly suspected then. I was like, it just had those vibes. And then even in the trailers, when it looked like the sand crashing down on the towns, yeah, I got to admit, I didn't think I'd be this happy to have Sutekh back, but I am. It's so weird. I'm trying to critique the episode, but it's just, there's so much happening. It's really hard to organize my thoughts. I love the set pieces. I love the actual sets they use. It's ooh, this is a hard video to do. Yeah, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I guess that's all I have to say. I can't organize my thoughts any more than that. This one, there's so much going on. I loved the Disney money and how it was used here. Like I said, I especially was impressed with the set piece when they're in the video. It's so weird to think that that's 2004 and it treats 2004 like it's so long ago, and I'm sitting there going, wait. It's interesting because they're supposed to be basically using a time window to look on December 24th, 2004, which is only 8 days before when the 10th Doctor says his last goodbye to Rose in the End of Time Part 2, because that's January the 1st, 2005. You know, when he's like, what year is this? January 1st, 2005. It's so weird that there's only 8 days between those. When the 10th Doctor was about to regenerate and he was talking to Rose, Ruby was barely born. I don't know why that messes with me, but that messes with me. Oh, wow, it's hard to believe 2004 was that long ago. There is one little plot hole issue I have, and it's the Doctor needs to be in two places at one time, and toward the end when he needs to be finding out what's up with Susan and what's going on with the TARDIS back at Unit HQ. The interesting thing is there's a big plot hole problem, is that he can be in two places at once. I don't understand why aren't they getting the 14th Doctor. We know the 14th Doctor is visiting with Donna and staying with Donna's family, and that he's healing, you know, finding himself. And I mean, we have Rose there. She should be able to call up and be like, so, 14th Doctor, need you to come on in for a little help. Now, we know the real world reason. David Tennant's off doing other stuff, of course. And they probably don't want to bring him right back since he was just here a few months ago. I mean, real world reason, I get why not. But in the story, since they're the ones who did the whole bi-generation thing, and there's two Doctors running around, and we know the 14th Doctor is healing on Earth, it seems odd, one, that Unit hasn't brought him in already, but when things start going south here, they don't bring 14 in. Plus, we also know there's another future version of the Doctor running around on Earth, the Curator. Now, I don't know if Unit's aware of the Curator or not. You would think they would be, but we don't know. And of course, the Curator was running around in 2013 when the 50th anniversary was happening, and by 2024, maybe he's not. Maybe he's gone. Maybe he's unretired and he's back traveling in space. But so there's a potential Curator version of the Doctor there, and we know the 14th version of the Doctor is there a lot. Why are they not bringing 14 in to help? This seems like a time when you need, if you have two Doctors at your disposal, you get two Doctors. Now, it's very possible, and I can headcanon this easily, as this could all be happening right when 14's taking him a little trip away, because we already established in that final scene with 14 and the Giggle that he still takes little trips, like to Mars and stuff. He still gets away for a little bit in the TARDIS every now and then, and the Doctor being the Doctor, I could see everything going to pot right when he's away for a minute. Let's be honest, that could happen. Right when he popped off to go do something, because we know he might have only meant to be away for like a day or two, and he ends up coming back a year later. You know, what's a year between TARDIS travels? Much like when in Series 1, when he accidentally got Rose back like a year late and everybody thought she was missing. So I could see that happening. He meant to only be gone 5, or with Amy in the 11th hour, when he just meant to take a quick hop to the moon and back, and it was 2 years. I mean, it's kind of funny, but I could headcanon that where he only meant to be gone for a minute, and he'll be gone for like a year or two, even though he was only away for a little bit. I don't know. I can easily headcanon that away, but it was a bit of a plot hole to me that, you know, you'd think they'd be calling up 14 going, hey, we got a situation, we need you, and that they don't. It's just, I don't know. It's just a small little issue, a small little nitpick from me. But yeah, I'm looking forward to part 2. I'm really, I hate having to wait a whole week for part 2. Why couldn't they have done the first 2 episodes of the season as separate weeks and done the last 2 episodes together instead of the other way around? So I want to know what you think of The Legend on Ruby Road. If you're familiar with Gabriel Woolf, you need to be looking him up. Again, if you're someone who just watches the modern series and you've never seen Pyramids of Mars, go watch Pyramids of Mars immediately. Again, it's one of the greatest Doctor Who episodes ever made, constantly ranking high on Doctor Who ranking list for a reason. And 2, you've probably seen The Impossible Planet and The Satan Pit, where he voices the Beast in that. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button. I would love to hear your opinions on this. Comment down below. We will definitely talk about it. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. If you would like to see my full reaction to this and my initial review, I did do an initial review for that as well, which is basically just me fanboying over how excited I am Gabriel Woolf's back. kind of like I am here. That's there at the $5 tier and above. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney, Finn Perkins, and Stephen Crane. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. It does make a difference, and it's very much appreciated. I also have a P.O. box down there. A link to my Amazon wish list is down there. A link to my Amazon UK wish list. I can't talk, I'm so excited. UK wish list is down there as well. I do have a birthday coming up soon, actually at the beginning of July. If anyone wants to get anything, I love getting fan mail. I have several of the classic seasons on there that I'd love to get. I really do want to collect the standard edition of the box sets. I'd love to get the steelbook for the season 1 set. It's so pricey, I can't afford to get it right now. And the Klein trilogy. I really want to get the Klein trilogy from Big Finish as well. And most importantly, thank you for watching.